I thought I knew what betrayal felt like. I thought it lived somewhere manageable, something I could name, locate, rate. A quiet ache, maybe a 2 or 3 out of 10. Something that stayed in my chest and didn't ask much of me. But I was wrong. The word had been circling me long before I ever brought it into therapy. It started on New Year's Eve at my mom's house. I was surrounded by the same friends I've known since childhood. We were doing what we always do, laughing, telling the same old stories, standing barefoot in a kitchen that has held us through decades of change. Tradition wrapped us in familiarity. At some point, one of my oldest friends and I drifted into a quieter corner of the night, the kind of conversation that only happens when history makes the space feel safe. We were talking about personal things, the deeper layers that don't usually surface in a group, and she mentioned that her therapist had been working with her on betrayal trauma. The words landed in my body before my mind could organize them. I'd never heard therapy framed that way before, but something in me went still. With my life history, my relationships, my marriage, my childhood, I didn't need to analyze it. I just knew. So I tucked the word away and let it wait. A few weeks later, I was sitting on my therapist's couch, telling her I wanted to brain spot on the word betrayal. I explained that I thought it might help me process some things from the earlier days of my current relationship. She nodded, grounded and open like she always is, and asked me to rate how distressing the word felt in my body. 2 or 3, I said, and it's in my chest. So we began the session. And for those unfamiliar, Brainspotting is a trauma therapy that was developed by David Grand in about 2003. It works on the principle that where you look affects how you feel. During a session, eye position is used to access parts of the brain where trauma and emotional pain are stored. But by holding a specific gaze, brain spotting, the brain is allowed to process experiences that often live beneath conscious thought. It's less about talking and more about letting the nervous system lead. And when I first started brain spotting over a year ago, my therapist would guide me to find the spot that I felt most activated. And now my body just knows, so I can scan the room and feel when something catches. So I found my spot. I brought the word betrayal into my awareness. And at first, what surfaced felt predictable. My birth mom, of course, then my current partner, back when we were first dating. And that is what I expected to stick with. But then I got brief flashes of my assaults, images without much narrative, just sensations. But none of these held. My body moved somewhere else, and I was back in the moment my adopted dad died. I could see my adopted mom completely undone by grief, bedridden for nearly 2 weeks straight. I remembered how close she came to leaving too, and how it took my adopted dad's mother telling her she had to fight for me to pull her back. And something inside me cracked open. I felt betrayed by her. Not because she was grieving, but because I had to be the adult. Because I had to be strong. My own grief had nowhere to go. I swallowed it whole. I didn't get to feel it until 10 years later. My body shifted and a deep yawn moved through me. And that is my signal that I've come to recognize as processing. So we gently closed that round and started talking about what had come up. That was not at all what I expected, I told her. I'm kind of shocked. Even as I said it, though, both of us could feel that I wasn't quite done. I was still activated. So we opened it again. And this time, I was pulled into my abusive relationship in college. Scene after scene surfaced, not just of him, but of our friends, watching, knowing, and turning away. They saw how he treated me. They witnessed the verbal and emotional abuse, and a lot of them did nothing. One of them specifically was a campus police officer, and he saw it over and over again and acted like it was normal, like it didn't matter. And that betrayal landed in my body differently. I stayed with it, let the images and sensations move through me, and another yawn came up, another pause. We talked again, gently, but I was still activated, which this has never happened to me before. So we went in a third time, and that's when I saw her. I was 3.5 years old. It was 2 in the morning. I was standing on my adopted mom's doorstep as my birth mom and stepdad drove away laughing. No hesitation, no looking back, like dropping me off was nothing more than an inconvenience. The betrayal in that moment was total. And that's where it turned. I wasn't just grieving her, I was grieving what I decided about myself. I started sobbing for that little girl who couldn't possibly understand that it wasn't her fault, who couldn't imagine a reason her own mother wouldn't love her, except that she was too much, that she'd done something wrong. My body shook. I stretched my legs straight out in front of me and started moving them up and down like I was running while sitting still. It's something I do when the intensity threatens to overwhelm me and I need to stay here and process. I ran as hard as I could because what came next was the hardest thing to witness. And that was the moment that self hatred took root. All that fear, all that anger, all that grief, I turned it inward. Little me didn't have a language for abandonment or trauma or nervous systems. She only knew that if the people who were supposed to love her left so easily, then she must not be enough. So from that moment on, she decided never to be enough for herself either. By the time the session ended, I was completely exhausted. We talked quietly for a bit. I went to my safe place that we created intentionally for moments like this, and I let my nervous system settle. What stays with me now isn't just what surfaced, but how wrong my expectations were. I thought my betrayal lived in my adult relationships, but my body knew better. It led me exactly where I needed to go. If therapy has taught me anything, it's that healing isn't linear. It doesn't follow the stories we tell ourselves about where the pain should live. You can walk into a session thinking you're addressing one small thing and find yourself standing at the beginning of it all. So I'm learning not to box myself in, to leave room for what I don't expect. Because sometimes the place you think you're going isn't the place that's asking to be seen. And when you let the body lead, healing finds openings you never could have planned for. I hope today's episode resonated with you. And if it did, you're welcome to share it with someone who might need this conversation. If it stirred questions, reflections, or even disagreement, you're welcome to join the conversation or suggest future topics on Instagram or YouTube at Salt and Sovereignty. And until next time, honor the truth that keeps you sovereign.